Good evening and welcome. You're watching the 8 o'clock news. I'm Sonal Mehrotra Kapoor. It's been a day of a heartiest welcome for India's Olympic medal winners. Crowds and an absolute party that happened at the airport and went all the way to Ashoka Hotel where the press conference is still taking place. So we'll deep dive into all of that. But first up, the headlines. India's Olympic heroes returned to a grand welcome. There was crowd, cake, motorcades, all for our Olympic heroes. Neeraj Chopra speaks exclusively to NDTV, says nervousness. What's that? Meanwhile, UN climate change panel's troubling report, global warming now has a faster rate. An impact being seen already. Floods in Varanasi, other parts of UP, Yamuna floods in drought-prone South UP as well. Meanwhile, in Parliament, Defence Ministry, in the first response that we've had from the government on the Pegasus row, in a written reply, says no transaction took place with NSO. But this is the Defence Ministry, remember. The opposition continues to demand answers from the Home Ministry. They change track, however, for the quota bills, 3 of them being passed today. Sonia Gandhi was in Lok Sabha as well after 15 months. And protests continued, but 3 bills saw the light of the day. Delhi police case for violent anti-Muslim slogans. Organizers' identity extremely clear, seen in the video, but not named in the FIR. In COVID, daily average cases fall below 40,000. That's a good marker. The R0 also below 1, which is good. But active cases, they remain above 4 lakh. Prime Minister releases 19,500 crore for cash transfers directly to farmers. But that's not enough to stop the farm protests happening just a kilometre away from the parliament. New Karnataka Chief Minister responds to upset ministers now, as some of the new ministers seen unhappy with portfolio allocation. But today, really, the pictures that all of us will go to sleep with, or perhaps wake up to also, are going to be of these heroes who were welcomed in full band baja, almost a Bharat style here in the country. There were massive crowds at the Delhi airport welcoming our Olympic squad, and India's heroes were welcomed and facilitated by the Sports Ministry as well.
एनडीटीवी ने सबसे आगे आपको दिया।
चाहूंगा कि आप सभी ने कवर किया।
नीरज जी, क्या एनडीटीवी को कुछ क्या कहना चाहेंगे सबसे ज्यादा जो आपके लिए हमेशा
जो दर्शक देख रहे हैं?
कितनी मुश्किल हुई थी नीरज जी, कितनी मुश्किल हुई थी वहाँ पे?
कहाँ पे जी?
वहाँ पे खेलते टाइम।
एनडी का धन्यवाद जो इतना प्यार और सम्मान दिया है देश में आने के बाद। ऐसा लग रहा है जैसे दोबारा से मेडल जीता।
सर, सबसे बड़ी क्या क्या चुनौतियाँ ऐसी रहेंगी और कितना क्या थोड़ा सा डर था कि पूरा देश देख रहा है अभी हमारे पास कब मेडल्स आए?
नहीं, बिल्कुल भी डर नहीं था। बस दिक्कत ये थी, मेरे 1 महीने पहले चोट लग गई थी और उसी के कारण था। बस वही थोड़े मूवमेंट भी हो रहे थे। मैं अपनी परफॉर्मेंस से ये नहीं था कि मैं डर, मुझे ये इंजरी का था, मूवमेंट अच्छे से हो रहे थे।
बस देश में
सिल्वर मेडल जीता तो ये कितनी बड़ी उपलब्धि आपके लिए?
सबसे बड़ा कितना बड़ी उपलब्धि क्या कहना चाहिए? हमेशा
उपलब्धि है।
रवि भाई कैसा लगा?
They'll have to get used to all that attention coming their way now. But while our Olympians got all the good news of the day, the really troubling one came in from the UN. The United Nations Inter-governmental panel on climate change has released its 6th assessment report, and that sounded code red for humanity. What is code red? Well, these are changes in Earth's climate in every region and across the whole climate system. Continuing sea level rise as well, something that is irreversible over hundreds and thousands of years. What can be done? Well, for starters, drastic and rapid cuts in carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases, which can limit change, but for that to happen, nations will have to agree to do this, and that meeting is going to happen of 195 nations along with India later this month in Glasgow, UK. Recent disasters across India, but scientists in a major climate change report by the UN say such incidents will occur more frequently. More heat waves, more droughts, melting glaciers, intense one-day rainfall, coastal flooding, more cyclones. The frequency and intensity of such disasters are not natural but human-made.
We'll see more compound events from sea level rise, so flooding. Even if we stop emitting right now or stop global warming at 1.5 degrees, we will see further retreat of glaciers, including in the Himalayas.
Why is this happening? The reason for such rapid climate change is human activity. It is producing massive amounts of heat-absorbing greenhouse gases or GHGs released by burning fossil fuels like coal and petroleum products, deforestation and agriculture. These greenhouse gases trap heat and warm the climate.
And unprecedented for the IPCC.
The report by the IPCC or Inter-governmental Panel on Climate Change, of which India is one of the 195 member nations, says global warming will exceed 1.5 degrees Celsius in the next 20 years. It is currently about 1.1 degrees, and the landmark 2015 Paris Climate Agreement had identified 1.5 degrees as the goal to limit warming. Globally, 1 in 10-year hot extreme events will occur 5 times more frequently at 2 degrees Celsius. At 4 degrees, these 1 in 10 events will likely happen 9.4 times in a 10-year period, nearly once a year on average. Ahead of the Glasgow Climate Conference later this year, the report is a key tool to get governments to step up their pledges to cut emissions, just like the last assessment report did for the Paris Conference. But as of now, several big countries have announced net zero targets by around 2050-2060, but India has pushed back on global pressure to do so. India says developed nations don't consider the rights of developing countries to economic growth. India wants the G20 countries to reduce per capita emissions. India is the third largest polluter but has one of the lowest per capita emissions, especially among large economies. So far, almost all pledges by governments fall short of the Paris Conference's target to keep warming ideally to 1.5 degrees. Now they are being called upon to make even more immediate, rapid and large-scale reductions in emissions.
Yeah, this is a very, very good point.
However, one of the report's authors says India should focus on alternative strategies, not a net zero.
India is supposed to reduce the emission intensity. On the net emissions, we are not asked to reduce immediately. But we improve our system so that we, per dollar of income, we emit less emissions. If you do waste management better, if you do like a vehicular management better, if you improve the thermal power plant. For thermal power plant also have an efficiency issue, right? You can improve the efficiency of thermal power plant.
This report has rung a lot of alarm bells, and that is why climate conferences, which usually see more blame games than action, are expected to deal with the crisis better this time. 195 IPCC member countries are going to decide the fate of 7 billion people and also of our future generations. In New Delhi with Chetan Bhattacharjee and camera person Rakesh Singh, this is Sukirti Dwivedi for NDTV.
And these are not just reports, these are not just statistics that have been floated, but there is palpable evidence now on the ground. Sample this. Over 350 villages in some prominent cities across 21 districts in Uttar Pradesh have been flooded due to heavy rainfall in parts of the state. Hamirpur and Jalao districts in Bundelkhand region close to Madhya Pradesh worst impacted. And there has been inundation in eastern UP as well, particularly in Prime Minister's constituency of Varanasi, all close to the iconic Ganga Ghats. And sample this. in the drought-prone South UP, there are floods as well.
In Prime Minister Modi's constituency Varanasi, cremations at the city's iconic burning ghats have shifted to rooftops because of the flooding, and most low-lying areas near the Ganga river are underwater.
बढ़ाव की स्थिति बहुत तेज है। गंगा माता 2-3 दिन में काफ़ी तेजी से आई हैंगी, जिससे तटवर्ती इलाकों में खतरा ज़्यादा बढ़ गया।
In all, there are floods in 21 districts of Uttar Pradesh's 75. .357 villages have been flooded, and low-lying areas in cities like Prayagraj and Varanasi are affected too. The UP government says no one has died so far. Districts like Chitrakoot and Auraiya have seen 300% plus excess rainfall in the last week, while Etawah, Jhansi, Hamirpur and Jalon have had 200% plus excess rainfall. The worst affected districts are Hamirpur and Jalon in South UP. They have over a third of the state's flooded villages. The Yamuna is in spate after 3 years in an otherwise parched region.
कुछ में गांव के चारों तरफ पानी आ गया है, कुछ में गांव में पानी घुस गया है और कुछ गांव में 3 तरफ से पानी आया, एक तरफ से सुरक्षित हैं। हमने अभी जो सर्वेक्षण करके ऊपर से देखा है, उससे हमारे सभी बंधे पूरी तरीके से सुरक्षित हैं, लेकिन फ्लड प्लेन में जो लोगों ने घर अपने बना लिए थे, उन घरों में कुछ पानी चले गए हैं।
The UP government says it has set up over 800 flood shelters so far, and over 500 people have been rescued. With Ajay Singh and Salahuddin, this is Alok Pandey, NDTV.
Meanwhile, some fascinating news coming in from the political world, where BJP has got a whopping 2,555 crores through electoral bonds in financial year 2019-2020. In all, about 3,355 crore worth electoral bonds were sold in that financial year, and BJP got 76% of the electoral bonds sold in that period. While in 2018, the year before that, BJP had got just about 1,450 crore through electoral bonds, meaning BJP's bonds and donations have increased by over 75% this year compared to the previous year. Congress, meanwhile, if you're wondering, well, they got about 318 crore through electoral bonds. That's 9% of the total bonds that were given out. Arvind Gunasekar joins us for a perspective on this. Arvind, so BJP is clearly seen a rise, and the Congress, compared to the year before, how have they fared?
Yeah, Sonal, we have accessed this particular data exclusively from the Election Commission, and it shows that BJP in the financial year 2019 to 2020 March, they have got somewhere around 2,555 crore via electoral bonds alone. If you could take the entire data, the entire worth of electoral bonds that was sold in the year of 2019-2020, it's somewhere around 3,355. If you want to put it in context, out of the entire 3,355 crore worth electoral bonds that was sold in the year of financial year of 2019 to 2020, BJP alone has got somewhere around 2,555 crore. That is 76% of the entire electoral bonds that were sold in the year of 2019 to 2020 has gone to only one party, that is BJP. Coming to the second party, the Congress, that is the second principal opposition party, they have got the second biggest number. If you could see the number, the finite number, it comes to somewhere around 318 crore. Congress has got somewhere around 318 crore via electoral bonds in the same year, and if you could check if you could put the percentage, it comes to 9%. The first party, BJP, has got 76%, and the second party, that is Congress, that has got just 9%. If you could compare the parties previous year with this current year, BJP in the previous year, they have got somewhere around 1,450 crore via electoral bonds, and in the financial year of 2019-2020, BJP has increased it to somewhere around over 2,500 crore. That's a jump of over 75%. If you could compare the same for Congress party, in the year of financial year of 2018 to 2019, Congress had got somewhere around 380 crore, but in the year 2019 to 2020, Congress has reduced to 318 crore. That's a reduce of somewhere around 16%. So the major chunk of electoral bonds has gone to the party, that is the ruling party, Bharatiya Janata Party.
All right, we leave it there for the moment. Thanks, Arvind, for bringing us up to speed with that. In fact, let's take a break from politics and go back to that facilitation for ceremony that is going on right now. And Neeraj Chopra, golden boy speaking.
मेरे लाइफ का सबसे जो तगड़ा मौका है ओलंपिक्स, और ये मैं नहीं छोड़ूंगा। और मुझे लगता है कि अपोनेंट को देख के और कॉम्पिटिटर को देख के कभी भी घबराना नहीं चाहिए। और ये मैंने एक्सपीरियंस किया है मेरे पहले ओलंपिक में, क्योंकि इतना अच्छा कंपटीशन होने के बावजूद भी और इतने अच्छे एथलीट होने के बावजूद भी हमने गोल्ड जीता है। तो मुझे लगता है कि बस अपना 100% दो और किसी से घबराओ मत।
एक चीज बताएं, वो जो आपने दूसरा थ्रो फेंका है और उसके बाद जो सेलिब्रेशन करी है, पता था आपको ये बेस्ट गया है थ्रो?
बिल्कुल जी, वो जो शरीर का एफर्ट लगता है तो पता लग जाता है कि हाँ ये थ्रो कुछ अलग है। और मुझे लगा था कि मेरा पर्सनल बेस्ट थ्रो है, लेकिन वो थोड़ा उससे कम था। और बस वो फील हो जाता है। और फिर उसके बाद जो अगले दिन सुबह फील हुआ कमर में, शोल्डर में, एल्बो में, तो पर वही है कि अपने पास मेडल है तो ऐसा लगता है कि कोई बात नहीं, चाहे इंजरी हो जाती तो उसको भी देख लेते।
अच्छा, आखिरी में आपके जो लंबे बाल थे, दैट मेन वाज वेरी फेमस। यहाँ आते आते मेरे को 2-3 शैम्पू वालों के फोन आ गए हैं, जेल वालों के फोन आ गए हैं कि नीरज के वो लंबे होंगे। एवरीवन वांट्स यू एज अ ब्रांड एम्बेसडर।
जी, मुझे लगता है कि मैं शुरू से ही 9-10 साल से लंबे बाल रख रहा था, और अभी वो तंग करने लगे थे। मैं 2-3 कंपटीशन खेल रहा हूँ, उसमें वो पसीना आ रहा था, आंखों पे गिर रहे थे, और मैंने वो सिर पे वो क्या पट्टा ही बांध के देख लिया, टोपी भी डाल के देख ली, वो सब गिर जाता था लाइन से आके। तो मैंने सोचा कि यार ओलंपिक है, ऐसा कोई स्टाइल बाद में हो जाएगा, गेम पहले है।
नीरज, मैं क्या बोलूं, you have made our hearts really grow fonder. You have made our chest swell with pride. और I think you are made for TV. जो आप है ना, अब मुझे नहीं लगता कि कोई टीवी वाला आपको छोड़ने वाला है। You're going to be inundated with phone calls. But thank you once again for a fantastic performance. The way he
एक सवाल मेरा भी है, क्योंकि बहुत सारे खिलाड़ी हमारे ग्रामीण क्षेत्रों से आते हैं, बहुत दूर दूर से चल के अपने खेल के क्षेत्र तक भी जाना पड़ता है। तो आप में से कोई भी इसका उत्तर दे सकता है, क्या क्या मुश्किलें आई और कैसे यहाँ तक पहुँचने का सफर पूरा हुआ?
जी बिल्कुल, मुझे लगता है कि ये प्रॉब्लम सभी जितने भी खिलाड़ी यहाँ पे बैठे हैं लगभग सभी मिडिल क्लास फैमिली से हैं, और सभी को ये प्रॉब्लम आती है। लेकिन मैं बोलता हूँ कि उनकी फैमिली का सबसे बड़ा हाथ होता है कि वो पैसे से चाहे उनको सपोर्ट नहीं कर सकते, लेकिन वो जब ये बोलते हैं ना कि तुम बस खेलो, कोई बात नहीं, रिजल्ट देखा जाएगा, तो वो बहुत जरूरी होता है। और मुझे लगता है कि वो जो एक स्ट्रगल होता है और वो जो कमी होती है पैसों की भी या स्टेडियम की, वो कहीं ना कहीं एक एथलीट में आग पैदा करती है कि हाँ हमारे पास इस चीज की कमी है और हमें मेहनत करके इसको पूरा करना है।
मुझे लगता है बहुत महत्वपूर्ण बात कही है कि निचले स्तर से जो एथलीट, पिछड़े से पिछड़े क्षेत्र से भी एक जो जज्बा, जुनून और जीतने के लिए जो आग अंदर है, वही उसको इस मुकाम तक लाती है। और वहां पर कहीं ना कहीं बाकी स्तर पर फेडरेशन हो, टॉप स्कीम हो, भारत सरकार हो, उसके बाद आगे ले जाने का काम भी उसके आगे किया जाता है। लेकिन इन खिलाड़ियों ने जो अलग अलग क्षेत्रों से, बहुत पिछड़े क्षेत्रों से भी आते हैं, गरीब परिवारों से भी आते हैं, लेकिन भारत के लिए मेडल जीतने में मेहनत में कोई कमी नहीं छोड़ी। तो जोरदार करताल ध्वनि के साथ इनका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
थैंक यू सो मच। यू कैन टेक योर सीट। थैंक यू।
All right, there inspiring words coming in from our golden boy, and his story is going to inspire so many other possible Olympians in the country. Now we'll continue to look at all those stories, but shifting our focus to the monsoon session now, coming to an almost end. In this session, the first since the deadly second wave post the Pegasus scandal, well, that meant a washout altogether. The opposition demanding answers, government not willing to debate. But today, some business did indeed happen. 3 important bills were passed today. Opposition decided to cooperate for the passage of these bills that gives the states right to make and form their own OBC list. Extremely pertinent for all the states as well. So the government continued to resist the debate on Pegasus. Sonia Gandhi was seen there after a long time. But there was also another important update. The written reply on Pegasus actually came for the very first time. This was from not the required ministry, however, not from home, but actually from defense ministry. And they made it very clear in a written statement that they released later that the defense ministry has not gone into any transaction or business with NSO technologies altogether. And that happened while we still wait to hear from the Home Ministry. All right, in other news now, a shocking episode of hate speech that took place. Now, videos of a group shouting violent anti-Muslim slogans during a protest in the heart of Delhi have gone viral. But despite the organizers' identity clearly visible in the video, the FIR in this case doesn't name anyone and no one has been arrested, at least till now. What were these slogans? Well, it would be appalling to really repeat them, but they were slogans threatening to kill Muslims alongside chants of Ram Ram. Who said these? Well, allegedly, these were said by a Supreme Court lawyer and former Delhi BJP spokesperson Ashwini Upadhyay, who says he's not aware of these videos, and according to him, just 5 to 6 people were shouting them, and this should not have actually happened. What did happen actually? Check out this report. It's been over 24 hours since these videos went viral of horrific hate slogans asking for Muslims to be killed, chanted at Delhi's Jantar Mantar. So horrific that we cannot air them.
The venue just a few kilometers away from Parliament and top government offices.
Even more disturbingly, those chanting the slogans were part of a rally reportedly organized by lawyer and current member of the Executive Committee of the Delhi BJP, Ashwini Upadhyay, asking for laws to control population. And yet, not a single arrest made so far. The police claim no permission was given to the gathering. They say they have registered an FIR but made no arrests despite the videos coming to their notice. They refuse to share any further details on the action taken.
कुछ लोगों ने नारेबाजी की है, आपत्तिजनक नारेबाजी की है, तो इस विषय में हमने एक FIR दर्ज कर ली है और उसके ऊपर जो भी आगे की कार्रवाई है, इन्वेस्टिगेशन है, वो हमारी अभी जारी है.
No action too against Upadhyay. He claims he had nothing to do with those making the hate speeches.
हमारे जाने के बाद इस तरीके का वीडियो अगर बनता है तो ये मुझे लगता है इस आंदोलन को बदनाम करने के लिए बनाया गया है. दिल्ली पुलिस से मैं आग्रह करता हूं, जांच कर ले, असली होने पे अगर ये वीडियो असली है, जो लोग दिख रहे हैं उनके खिलाफ कार्रवाई करें.
But upon a closer inspection of the videos, it seems that the same crowd attending Upadhyay's event was present when the hate speeches were made. A large banner with Upadhyay's face on it can be seen in the background of a viral video of one such hate speech. Outrage is mounting over the lack of police action.
दिल्ली के केंद्र के अंदर एक कार्यक्रम होता है जहां पुलिस मौजूद है और उसके बावजूद कोई केस दर्ज नहीं किया जाता. वो सारे लोग जो नारे लगा रहे हैं उनकी शक्लें जो है वो वीडियो में मौजूद है और हमारी ये डिमांड है कि उनको फौरन अरेस्ट किया जाए, उनके ऊपर केस लगाए.
The Delhi police says it has obtained some leads and are identifying persons visible on camera as part of an investigation. But the question is, was there police present on the ground? If yes, how could they allow the sloganeering to continue? If not, then why wasn't any police present? An NDTV bureau report.